Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! Oh! And a fine Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. We're in hour 272 and a half of our Basil-A-Thon, which of course was carried live, but we're playing it back on Comcast Channel 23, Danbury, Connecticut. Accolades and kudos to Dave King and Candy Roswell and for helping us with this. And we got the camera from them. Basil agrees. Okay. Basil said, would you mind his scratches? I mean, his feet aren't in there, obviously, but wants me to scratch the inside of his where the wild things are, slippers. Okay. Better? Okay. Okay, before we took our most recent nap, we were on the phone with, we thought it was actually Clive and Bundy. The Clive and Bundy who, the self-described, and this is his description of himself as being the absolute best friend that the Negroes, and I guess that's sort of like this, where and Hispanics, he's their best friend. He defines himself as being the best friend they ever had. And we're still trying to figure that out. But at any rate, so Clive and Bundy, we put the word out for him to give us a call, and apparently, somehow or other, a guy. Well, Basil told me, flip the right whisker over to the left side, and tweak the left side with a right whisker. You know, that's how he tells me I'm half right. So, and thank you for. Move you a little closer if you like. Straighten your tie a little bit. That's his way of complimenting me, and that's about the best I'm going to get. So I'll take it. So at any rate, so real quick recap. Something I think we talked about, unless we dreamt it in the previous half hour, was the question that we put out for the audience, and it's not a new question from us because we've put it out there before, and the question is, when will white Americans be the minority in America? And of course, after some discussion and some whatever we were doing, apparently white Americans, not into the foreseeable future, if ever, will be the minority in America. One day, and that might show up in our 2020 census, it might show up in our 2030 census, possibly, with the growth of the Latino population. White Americans might be a minority. That's to say there might be fewer than 50% of them, but they'll still, by a country mile, be the largest minority in America, and still be head honchos in their own minds. So, at any rate, so Cliven Bundy turned out to be Ted Bundy, and we're trying to figure out why in the world we got a phone call when we sent out on our currently alive human lines, and not on our and again, thank you, Bill Murray, for giving us this idea in Ghostbusters, where it's in the apartment of his girlfriend-to-be, and he tickles the ivories and announces that he's there, and telling her that the ghosts hate that sound. It drives them crazy. So at any rate, so we just did that, and we'll see. We'll see if we get. We'll see if our call amounts to anything. Our call out, our shout out to the hereafter. And is there anything you want to talk about in the meanwhile? Oh, hey, well, could be. Don't take it for granted, because we thought it was him. We thought it was Ted Bundy, Clive Bundy last time. It turned out to be Ted Bundy calling in, and which phone is it? It must be the little phone. Yep, sure enough. The little phone for the lesser guests, the Nickelodeon phone for, average quality guests, and the Cat in the Hat phone is reserved exclusively for the best guests. Good Sunday morning to you. Thank you for calling Basil BuddhaCat Presents. And whom are we speaking with this fine Sunday morning? Basil? Got it right. Well, he claims. Tweety, check your whatever you check to see where the phone calls are coming in from, and see if the zeros and ones are lined up properly to indicate that our caller in is yes. Tweety says yes, it is from the hereafter, and through the miracle of expert guessing, Tweety says it appears to be Ted Bundy from the hereafter. Okay. Is this the Ted Bundy? Tweety's confirmed it, but I just want to hear it from you. Says, yeah, this is Ted Bundy, and he's sorry for what he done. Can you come back? I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's really going to be possible. I mean, you know that Basil and I are opponents of capital punishment. We would have much rather had a situation we could come and watch you and visit you in the Florida Penitentiary in Stark, which is, by the way, just east of Gainesville. And at this point, you would have been like 80. Yeah, you probably still would have been alive. Probably still would have been sitting in a cell, coming out for 15 minutes a day for exercise. No human contact other than being able to shout out to people during that time. But except, of course, when you get your non-existent phone privileges for the purpose of calling in to the Basil BuddhaCat Presents hour 272 and 1/2 of our Basil-A-Thon. Now, I know that you probably never heard of Stephen Colbert, because but Stephen Colbert we're holding this Basil-A-Thon in honor of and to raise money for our good friend Stephen T. Colbert, to help him in his in defending himself against the owner of the Washington Redskins. Ted Bundy said, "They're still called the Redskins after. Don't you people ever learn?" Well, you're one to talk. You're one to talk. You did some pretty heinous crimes, and and ultimately were executed by the state of Florida for them. Some caught by dental records, caught up with you, and he says, look, they caught Hannibal Lecter, they could catch him too. He doesn't feel too, like, it's horrible what you did. Horrible. Okay, yeah, well, we really don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Basil, do you have a question for Ted Bundy? Okay, Basil says, and I'll quote him first. Meow, brrr, meow, meow, brrr, brrr. Okay, Basil said, are you related to Ted Nugent? And I notice Ted apparently went home for a bit because he's got, looks like globs of Vaseline all over him from the Vaseline in his in the moat around his castle. But you are. Ted Bundy is telling us, and I guess this is a scoop. We'll have to check it out, of course, and probably use some sort of DNA evidence to figure out that Ted Bundy says he is a direct ancestor to Ted Nugent. And likewise, Ted Nugent is a direct descendant of Ted Bundy. Now, how are you related? Said, look, he doesn't know. It was a big family. And besides, look, I mean, DNA doesn't lie. DNA shows that our current president of the United States, Barack Obama, is a distant relative of the former vice president of the United States, not too long back, named Dick Cheney. Okay, so there you go. So, here's the thing, and here's the thing. We had, and the all the, we'll call them the crazy blogs, Patriot, American Patriot, Godfather Politics. There's a bunch of them out there, where one will say something nasty about President Obama, and the next 20 comments will be, yeah, Joe's right. Everybody else will chime in. And probably half the people that comment on those blogs are the actual author of the author of the blog, or people that the author of the blog has coerced or cajoled into commenting, because the author probably gets paid according to how many comments show up on the blog. And in that case, Basil would like to have a finder's fee, because Basil says, and it's true, Basil goes on these blogs and he comments. He doesn't go on there to be what's referred to in blog talk as a troll. He doesn't go there to cause trouble, to try to bring down the group that's in the discussion. He only does it to try to well, more than just talk a little sense into their thick skulls. He's there to just give them an idea, just throw an idea out there, and try to move some of the folks that are in the chat room there, move them a scotch on the topic. And Basil says occasionally he gets somebody who's moderately reasonable, moderately sane, and can have a good discussion with them. But Basil says for the most part they're lunatics. Okay. So at any rate, so one of the articles that Basil pointed out to me recently it mentioned a fellow by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and probably well known to the audience. He played basketball for the Milwaukee Bucks for a number of years, then ended up playing. His glory years were with the Los Angeles Lakers. He won a fair number of championships on the same team as Magic Johnson. He had some think he was on the same team as Magic Johnson. Yeah, I think so. So, and again, rated as probably, certainly one of the greatest professional basketball players of all time. Scoring-wise, defense-wise, and probably had a pretty funny role in a movie. Basil, I'm not sure if you know about this. I don't know if you've ever watched. Basil says, yeah. He flicked his left ear, and that means, yeah. You could talk about it. Yeah, I saw it with you, and you could talk about it. He was in a movie called Airplane. And it was a movie that was meant as a spoof of the airport movies. And in this movie, Airplane, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar plays the part of one of the two pilots of the plane. And a little kid comes up from the passenger area, and back in the day when they let people come up into the pilot's cabin and take a look at the plane and maybe fly it for a couple hundred yards. But anyway, so the kid comes up and he insists that this co-pilot is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the character played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar insists that no, it's not him. It's not him. But then the kid kind of vets him out by saying something about, my dad says you were only an offensive player. Half the time you wouldn't even come back down court. He sort of tweaks his fro a little bit, and finally the pilot, played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, gets a little bit upset and sends the kid back to his family in the passenger section of the plane. So anyway, so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes on, or at least is quoted, whether he said it or not, is quoted as saying that this is much ado about nothing. Shouldn't be this business with Donald Sterling of the Los Angeles Clippers, about him making some remarks which have been referred to as racist, and Basil and I agree with that they were some pretty low remarks and pretty disingenuous remarks, and not only racist but really disrespectful of women too. He really works over verbally a woman that he apparently dates and takes to the basketball game, and so at any rate, so the word is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that the remarks made by Donald Sterling, much ado about nothing, nothing to see here, folks, who cares, but also remarks by Cliven Bundy. And we've been wondering whether he really made those remarks and what the depth of those remarks is. I mean, have the remarks by Abdul-Jabbar, if any, had they been taken out of context? And we're just wondering. Good Sunday morning, Basil BuddhaCat presents. Okay, yeah. Tweety check. Pennsylvania? Yeah. Look, I'm telling you, it's Basil. It's Rick Santorum, who's still looking for the way back into the presidential race for 2012. Says he's the anointed one for the Republican Party in 2016. So they might as well call off all the primaries and caucuses and whatnot. Look, we've been through this, former Senator Santorum, and we'll find another time, and we'll give you a call next time if Basil deems that appropriate. Thanks. Okay. So anyway, it's on the big phone, or as Michael Jordan once referred to it as, the tall guy's phone. Good Sunday morning, Basil BuddhaCat presents. Basil. And Tweety, check this out. Check this. Okay. Tweety says he put the call out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's got the number lined up. He got this one. Okay, thank you, Tweety. Okay. Something's not right here. Something's not right here. It's the voice at the other end is saying, and I'm going to try to intone it properly. The voice says, saying, "Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. We be best off. We've been best off back on the plantation, picking cotton, singing, slapping our knees, and being good Negroes." Okay. Tweety, are the lines crossed? Tweety says, yeah. Apparently somebody tapped into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's cell phone and is transmitting to us through the cell phone of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Tweety, no, I think wait a second. No, we'll try that one later. But I don't think he doesn't think that we're always getting these calls during the show. So he says we've been trying to get Jack Benny's compadre, his version of Tonto on the phone from the hereafter, but no. Now, okay, so we're zooming in on you. Yep, it's Donald Sterling. You know, this doesn't ring true, but I'm not surprised that you're trying to save face and trying to cover for yourself. Okay. He also had a different answer to our question from this show and from last show. When will white Americans be the minority? And it's a little bit of a different sort of an answer, apparently. He and I want to make sure I quote you correctly on this. He says, whites have been the minority in the United States of America for 30 years, because he doesn't consider people who believe in progressive and liberal causes as being white. Can't possibly be. Okay, so okay, well, nice try. $272.5 hours. I understand. Basil said, says we have to stay on the air until at least we figure out, we're raising money for the Stephen T. Colbert Defense Fund, but Basil said he's not sure about that anymore because says Stephen Colbert really ought to be raising money for us and trying to raise awareness and how Basil deserves to be the next host on the Late Late Show and replace Craig Ferguson. I mean, we sort of got the skeleton. We sort of got the horse. We sort of got Secretariat. says, for the right price, he's in for it too. Okay, but at any rate, so with that, we're gonna have to break away, and we're gonna have to cut this episode short. Maybe we'll fill in with a couple of maybe we'll do Sad Cat Diary and Sad Dog Diary if we need to fill this in. It's been a fine Sunday morning. This is David Stevenson, co-host, chief interpreter and chief gopher. Basil BuddhaCat, host of the show, and everybody else. Have a fine Sunday. Bye.
All to you.
No! You get your hands off me! I said get your hands Come on, boy! Oh, you come on. Just because I'm the only one willing to leap a love.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, you Jesus.
Roy!
What? He was going for the door. I'll plant a gun on him if it makes you feel any better.
Would you like to take this up with Eternal Affairs?
We both know what this is about, don't we, honey pot?
Not the time, Roy.
Why not have it out now? I'm comfortable.
Roy, meet your new partner, Nick Walker.
We've been over this before. I'm a one-man operation.
Not a choice, Roy. Have been overrun by these dead people sometime in 1954.
How's staying an option?
150,000 people die every day. The system wasn't designed to handle that kind of volume. Welcome to the big league. R.I.P.D. Boston. Before you are the greatest law officers who ever lived and died. We're the third biggest precinct in the force.
What's the first?
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.